Hello viewers, it's Josie. Happy holidays! Um, as of this recording, sorry for the noise, it is December 28th, 2022, and as some of you may already know, I am in Nevada for the holiday visiting my aunt, and given that it's the end of the year, I am going to discuss some of some notable first-time watches for me for the second half of 2022. I did a video like this first in like the end of June, towards the end of June, and here I go. Let's start, and just so you know, number one, this list is in alphabetical order. It's not an order of preference. Secondly, if I say something is on Blu-ray or DVD, I'm not asking you guys to buy it off of Amazon. In fact, as someone who works at a library, I'm encouraging some who maybe don't want to spend money buying Blu-rays or DVDs to see if they're at their local library, and if not, maybe try to get an interloan of a copy. Okay, so let's start off with The Dragon Painter from 1919, directed by William Worthington. This is as you would suggest from the release date, is a silent romance film about a painter named Tatsu, played by Sessue Hayakawa. I could be butchering his name, forgive me, who lives a hermit-like lifestyle in the Hakkawa Mountains of Japan. He often paints pictures of a dragon princess whom he believes to be his lost fiancée. And after becoming a disciple for master painter Kano Indana in Tokyo, he meets the elegant Umeko, played by Siri Aoki, who was Sessue Hayakawa's real-life wife. And Tatsu immediately falls in love with her and is convinced that she is the incarnation of his painting manifest. And after spending time with Umeko, he loses motivation to paint, and then Tatsu is forced to find an equilibrium for his love for her and his artistic endeavors. We've seen plenty of love stories about people in creative pursuits, whichever artistic field they're in, whether that be writing, filmmaking, music, get in the way of the relationship. It's a little bit of the other way around in The Dragon Painter, but this isn't a situation where Tatsu does not want to stop painting because of Umeko, nor does he want to stop being with her because he wants to paint. As I said, he wants to maintain balance. And it's a really sweet, enchanting, mythical romance. It's amazing seeing Asian actors on screen in an American film production of this time. And it's a piece of history worth checking out. A true hidden gem of the silent era, I would say. The Dragon Painter is available to watch on YouTube and Kanopy. And Kanopy, for those of you who don't know, is a streaming service hooked up with libraries. If you have a library card, not all libraries have Kanopy, but if your library is signed up with Kanopy, I'd highly recommend signing up for it. And then next up, The Green Promise from 1949, directed by William D. Russell. This is a public domain film that was distributed by RKO Pictures. So, a widowed farmer who is called Old Man Matthews, played by Walter Brennan, moves to a new farm, Millwood Farm, with his 4 children. Deborah, played by Margaret Chapman, sorry, Phineas, Abigail, and Susan. And an agricultural county agent, David Barkley, played by Robert Page, assists Old Man Matthews with his farm duties, and while doing so, he and Deborah fall in love. Meanwhile, the youngest daughter, Susan, played by a young child star, Natalie Wood, she joins a 4-H group. And Mr. Matthews relies a lot on Deborah. And he develops this belief that her spending time with David means that she won't be able to help him anymore. And Old Man Matthews is very bullheaded and stubborn with the farm work. Meanwhile, the youngest, Susan, joins a 4-H club and takes care of lambs. And of course, Natalie Wood is iconic in West Side Story. But she was also an outstanding child actress. I rewatched Miracle on 34th Street over the holiday, and her performance is genuinely outstanding. In The Green Promise and Miracle on 34th Street, she's not just acting cute. She plays characters with real goals and real vulnerabilities, and who actually care about other people. She wants her in Miracle on 34th Street. She wants a home for her family, and then in this Green Promise, she wants the family farm to succeed. The Green Promise is a wonderful love letter to nature, American landscape, I guess, and as well as an incredibly touching family story. And I'm a total sucker for heartfelt farm family movies. If any of you viewers liked the movie Minari that came out 2 years ago, I think you would really like this. The Green Promise is available to watch for free on YouTube, Tubi, and Amazon Prime. Next up is King Ralph from 1991, directed by David S. Ward, who's known for directing Major League movies. So, the royal family is all killed in an accidental freak accident, and after seemingly rigorous ancestral research, it turns out that the heir to the throne is a sleazy lounge entertainer in Las Vegas named Ralph, played by John Goodman. And the royal secretary, Cedric Willingham, played none other than by Peter O'Toole, guides him to act more kingly and, regal. And meanwhile, the other next in line, Lord Percival Graves, played by John Hurt, plots sabotage so that he could take the throne. And then John Goodman's character, Ralph, falls in love with a stripper named Miranda, played by Camille Kaduri. And even though Ralph is sleazy on the surface, deep down he has a heart of gold. And this is such a cute, delightful comedic gem from the 90s that more people should see. I'm surprised with the movies John Goodman did in the 90s and 90s and aughts, particularly comedies, that this doesn't get brought up as much. It's just so original. King Ralph is available to rent for a few dollars on YouTube and Amazon, and is on DVD. And I believe there is a Blu-ray release. That's brand new. Moving forward, Last Year at Marienbad from 1961, directed by Elaine Resnais, who directed Hiroshima Mon Amour. This is an offbeat cerebral love story set in an odd chateau. An unnamed man referred to as X, played by Giorgio Albertazzi, comes across an elegantly gorgeous woman referred to as A, played by Delphine Seyring. Believing he met her the previous year at a resort in Marienbad, A, however, doesn't recall such a memory. X tries to make her recollect their past relationship. X then faces competition with A's partner M. It's not revealed. He's referred to as M. It's not revealed whether or not they were married, and we're shown some memories which may or may not be real events. The narrative sort of follows like a dream logic structure. And Elaine Resnais, on both the visual and narrative level, plays around with time, memory, and imagination. For example, inside the castle, people stand 100% still as if time has stopped. I wonder if Joachim Trier took inspiration for this, for the time inspiration from for the time stopping sequence in The Worst Person in the World from last year. Because there's a there's a great sequence in The Worst Person in the World where time has stopped and the whole like city of Oslo is like dead still, and it's only the female protagonist who's running to the man who she's interested in at the time. But no matter what is truth or fiction, Resnais, or Renee, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, makes you care about these lovers. It's the love that matters, not the circumstances surrounding. Unfortunately, Last Year at Marienbad is not available to watch for free on any streamer. You can rent it on Amazon Prime for a few dollars, but I highly recommend checking out the Kino Blu-ray if you can get it at your library or so. Next up, Leave Her to Heaven from 1945, directed by John M. Stahl, who's known for directing the original Imitation of Life and Magnificent Obsession, both of which were remade by Douglas Sirk. So it's a writer named Richard Harland, played by Cornel Wilde, meets a beautiful but emotionally sick woman, Ellen Barrett, played by Gene Tierney from Laura. Ellen is already engaged to a man named Russell Quinton, played by Vincent Price, but she quickly breaks off the engagement to be with Richard. And Richard is initially attracted to Ellen's wild gravitas, but soon enough, Richard picks up on Ellen's mental and emotional instability. She's a femme fatale who's territorially clingy, easily envious, and spiteful. I would say she's one of the most complexly written femme fatales for the screen. A reviewer on Letterboxd called this film the 1940s Gone Girl. Plot-wise, they're very different, but Rosamund Pike and Gene Tierney's characters are both manipulative. Ellen was adopted into the Brent family. The father recently died. It's not really revealed how, but some viewers have speculated over the years if Ellen drew him to his death. Ellen lives with her mother and adopted sister Ruth, Jean Crane, and meaning of course Ellen was adopted, but of course Ruth is the real biological daughter of her adopted parents. You get what I mean. Richard has a younger brother in a wheelchair whom he cares a lot about and takes deep care of. He welcomes him into the Barrett family, however you want to define whatever kind of unit that is. He becomes good friends with Ellen's adopted sister Ruth, and she sort of aids him in taking care of his brother, and Ellen is so possessive that she doesn't want Richard to spend time with anybody but her. She goes out of her way to sabotage the family in order to have Richard all to herself. It's a roller coaster. The performances are brilliant. Gene Tierney was nominated for an Oscar that year, but lost to Joan Crawford and Mildred Pierce, which I can't complain too much about because that is an iconic performance, but Gene Tierney is also iconic in this. Cornel Wilde and Jean Crane also give great performances. Jean Crane is an actress from that time period I find kind of underrated. She was also in the King Fedor film, The Man Without a Star, which I previously talked about on this channel. In my Oscar pairings video, I paired that with The Power of the Dog. The Technicolor cinematography is eye-popping. I also love the production design of the house. There's some really nice exterior shots of the farm area too. And Leave Her to Heaven is on Criterion Blu-ray, and you can watch it for free on YouTube. Next up is Little Man, What Now? Directed by Frank Borzage from 1934. Now, he is known for directing the movie History is Made at Night with Jean Arthur and Seventh Heaven. So the story follows newlyweds Hans and Emma. And wait, before I move forward, this was based on a German novel. And then there was a German film adaptation of it. And then a year later, this adaptation was released. Anyway, the story follows newlyweds Hans and Emma, played by Douglas Montgomery and Margaret Sullivan, residing in the rural part of Germany. They move in with Mia, the stepmother of Hans, played by Catherine Doucet. It's spelled like Doucet. I don't really know how to pronounce it. She has business ties with a sketchy man named Holger Jochman, played by Alan Hale. And once Hans is given a job by Jochman, I don't remember how it's pronounced. He finds out that his own stepmother is managing a brothel. Not only that, Jochman is trying to pursue Hans' wife Emma. Hans then leaves with Emma as she becomes pregnant and he must find a sufficient way to support her. Obviously, we are going through a global economic crisis right now, and it's always interesting watching older films and seeing financial hardships depicted because it just reminds you so much of how history is the same story over and over again. Sean Gilman perfectly states in his Letterboxd review that depression is the proximate cause of their struggle, but the resolution lies not in radical political change, nor in the transcendent, miraculous, all-conquering love of his Janet Gaynor films, but rather it is a few small, humane interventions that make life livable. What's being depicted isn't even the Great Depression in the United States, but depression in Germany. Like The Green Promise, Little Man, What Now? Is a warmly touching movie about love in the face of challenging changes. And then next up is a film from 1950 called Outrage, directed by actress turned director Ida Lupino. This is a B-movie noir centered around a woman named Anne Walton, played by Mala Powers, who's really just amazing performance in this. She seems to have her life together. She has a good job in bookkeeping, and she's engaged. One day, coming home from work, she is raped. Traumatized, Anne flees her town, changes her name, and gets a job at a ranch. At the ranch, she befriends a kind-hearted local preacher named Bruce Ferguson, played by Todd Andrews. This movie was so ahead of its time with the way it approaches rape. It is critical of the misogyny of the time period without being overly preachy. If anything, the story is more timely than ever. The events in this film could very much take place today. Even so, what I love about the film is that it doesn't feel like a public service announcement. Keep in mind, this was made when the Hays Code was around. This is not a rape revenge film. In no way would it be classified as exploitation. Rather, it's an exploration of a woman's PTSD and her journey of healing and rebirth. Back to what I was saying about it was made during the time of the Hays Code, is that Ida Lupino was it just amazes me how she was able to work around with these restrictions to depict, rape. Now, yes, it covers upsetting ground, but it's also quite hopeful because we root for Anne Walton, and played by Mala Powers, who again is just wonderful in this. And I really like Todd Andrews too as a local preacher. Outrage is available to watch for free on YouTube, and there is an imprint Blu-ray. Next up, here's a fun one. Streets of Fire from 1984, directed by Walter Hill. When a singer named Ellen Aim, played by Diane Lane, I didn't even realize that rhymed, is kidnapped by a motorcycle gang led by Raven Shattuck, played by Willem Dafoe, her ex-boyfriend, a former soldier named Tom Cody, played by Michael Paré, is assigned by her manager Billy, played by Rick Moranis, to rescue her. Tom, Billy, and another ex-soldier, McCoy, played by Amy Madigan, who's the wife of Ed Harris, go on an adventure to save Ellen from these bikers. It's a super fun adventure rock musical with elements of neo-noir and pulp novels. The kinetic sound work, the vibrant neon colors, and the adventures these characters go on all make for a rockin' atmosphere. It was a box office flop when it came out, but has gained traction in recent years. This was supposed to be part of an action movie trilogy, but the disappointing box office performance unfortunately killed those chances. I will say that Streets of Fire works as a standalone. I don't think it ever needed a sequel, to be honest. It has an awesome ending song, "Tonight is what it means to be young," which is like the ultimate song discovery of 2022 for me. Unfortunately, Streets of Fire is not streaming anywhere for free, but it is on Blu-ray through Shout Factory. Next up, we've got A Song of Two Humans from 1927, directed by F.W. Murnau. This is number 12 on the Sight and Sound Top 100. A man, played by George O'Brien, operates a farm alongside his wife, Janet Gaynor. They have a baby. Another woman from the city comes into the picture. She tempts and flirts with George O'Brien. Together, they make a pact to drown his wife and run away together. The man and his wife go rowing on a boat together. And of course, she's quite suspicious as to why they're doing it. She's wondering what his intentions are. And he attempts to drown her, following the plan that he and that other girl made. However, when his wife when his wife begs him not to, she changes his mind. They arrive on shore, and the wife runs away. When they get caught up with each other in the city, the two go on an adventure together, and there is a beautiful, harmonious rebirth in their marriage. It's a touching romance and sort of a high-stakes city-set action adventure. At the 1929 Oscars, it won Best Unique and Artistic Production, Best Cinematography, and Best Actress, Janet Gaynor, all of which were very well deserved. Sunrise is available to watch for free on Amazon Prime and YouTube, and it's also on DVD and Blu-ray. And finally, for, a holiday-themed movie, Tokyo Godfathers, directed by Satoshi Kon. This is an anime movie about three homeless people, a middle-aged alcoholic man, a trans woman / former drag queen, and a teenage runaway struggling with mental health, discover a lost baby girl. And together, during Christmas time, into New Year's, they go on an adventure through the Tokyo streets as they try to take care of her and find her parents. The story balances being charmingly touching and uplifting, while also having super high stakes that keep you on worrisome pins and needles for these characters. It's not a fantasy per se. It has magical Christmas faith-based elements, but in this they're certainly earned. Also, the characters and their journeys are complex and feel true to life. It bluntly touches on how homeless people are treated in our society. Additionally, there is even some commentary on how queer people and those with mental health issues are treated. This is a movie from 2003, before quote-unquote woke culture and, deeper understanding of mental health that we have now. I mean, not that it wasn't deep back then, but it's just sort of like, scientists are studying it more and more now. But nevertheless, Tokyo Godfathers is a very humanistic. Is a very humanistic, and nobody is a villain. In fact, so Khan illustrates the potential for goodness in everybody. What's beautiful is how our trio here learns to forgive themselves for their troubling pasts. This is also a story about found or chosen family. In other words, creating a family isn't necessarily blood related. This would actually make an interesting double feature with Hirokazu Korieda's film Shoplifters. I know that his most recent film Broker also has similar themes. I've yet to see that, but it seems like Tokyo Godfathers would pair well with that too. As one would expect from Satoshi Kon, the animation is beautiful. The artwork is different than it is in Studio Ghibli films or even anime shows like One Piece, which I've been watching since August and I'm obsessed. Anyway, Tokyo here, the city of Tokyo, is depicted with such luminosity. Like the lights is just that they have that are illustrated are just again eye-popping. And Tokyo Godfathers is a Christmas classic of the 21st century, I think. And also just one of the, in my opinion, the great anime masterpieces next to Spirited Away. I really think it's part of the anime masterpiece canon with some Hayao Miyazaki films and of course Akira and Grave of the Fireflies. Anyway, someone wrote on Letterboxd, "This movie is really good. Hobos and homos, some both, some neither, found a baby, hijinks ensue." And that sums up the movie really well. Anyway, I apologize if I spoke a little low in this video or if I fumbled a bit with some of my words. It's only because, like, I'm at my aunt's house and I don't want to be too loud. But it was such a pleasure sharing this video with you. I hope everybody had a great 2022, and I hope everyone has an even better 2023. Well, thank you so much for watching. Happy holidays. Goodbye for now.